today I'd like to share with you an idea on how to reuse those doilies and vintage linens that you might have at home. Now, if you're like me, you may have inherited some doilies and linens, or you may enjoy purchasing them from secondhand stores. Regardless, I know that we've all got some doilies and some linens at home at the back of a drawer, just gathering dust and really not being appreciated. So I wanted to pull out the doilies. I've got a lot that I inherited from my mother, and I'm just trying to figure out a way to use them and in a functional way, but still be able to enjoy them. And you don't have to be a textile expert to know that vintage linens are definitely of superior quality. I mean, after all, they've lasted some 50, 60, 70 years and are still in excellent condition. So the only rule of thumb is, unless something has great sentimental value, I'm going to take my linens. I do pre-soak them in OxiClean solution in hot water, or in some instances, if they're pure white, I have used some bleach. And then I throw them in the laundry with the regular cycle wash. And if they survive my washing machine, then I'm going to use them in a different way, because I want to be able to throw them in the wash whenever I want. So that is the first rule of thumb. Wash all of your linens and just like you normally do, and then start getting creative with the ideas. So the idea that I had is to create some covers for pot holders. And when I say pot holders, or a hot plate, I should say, not a pot holder, a hot plate, I'm talking about either cork or silicone hot plates that you normally put on the table. And my pet peeve is making dinner and having it set up beautifully and then having this cork hot plate on the table. So I've come up with a couple of different ways that we can reuse these beautiful linens and doilies and create a really beautiful new item that I can use every day and really appreciate the work that went into making the doily in the first place. So the first doily that I made is, you can buy these round cork hot plates from the dollar store. And this is actually the easiest of the ideas that I have. So I'm sure we've all got these round doilies. And basically you want a doily that is larger than your cork plate. And then you want a smaller doily that you are going to place on one side. And then all I did was fold over the larger doily like so. And I actually, you can press this into place and you don't have to worry, because it's a hot plate after all. So you can feel comfortable in pressing it with your iron. And then all I did was I purchased this very, very fine elastic, and you can just thread it through the ends of the doily because there are holes. So it's easy enough just to thread through this way, all the way around. And I think that you can see the idea. Once you thread the elastic all the way around, and you've got, the other doily is actually loose on the inside. And now you've got this stretchy doily that if I need to wash it, I can just pop it off. I can wash both. And if I want to put it back, then all I have to do is refit it into the elastic, and I've got my hot plate back. And there you go. And it's very attractive and very effective. And this is nice and flat, so you can definitely put something like this. hot gravy. Isn't that pretty? So that's one way. That's one way to use your cork hot plate. Another way that I really love, and I just love the look of a folded, beautiful linen napkin on the table. So all I've done was, and you can do this, these are 6-inch hot plates. So if you take a 12-inch napkin, which generally speaking, a lot of them do come as 12 inches, and you just want to fold it like this in 4 ways. You can press it with your iron, and you may have to become reacquainted with this guy if you haven't used it for a while. And then all I did was I took this and I just sewed, as you can see, I just sewed one side. So basically you've got this 4/4, there's 3 layers. You're going to actually put your cork hot plate on the last layer, and then if you open it up, you can see that in this area I just sewed along here. I just sewed along here, and when it's folded, it's created a pocket for me to insert the hot plate. So there you go. 1, 2, and there's the 3rd layer, which I've sewn into a pocket. I can just pop that in there, and then when I'm ready to serve, oh, I did tack the little corner on. When I'm ready to serve, I could just throw that on the table, and it just looks like a draped napkin. And that looks really beautiful with, let's see, we can put something like a gravy boat on it. So that's a really nice way to do it. And actually, that's a very simple, this is a very simple way to do it. So all I've done, I've got a whole selection, and you don't even really have to sew the one side to create the pocket. You can just take your regular napkin, fold it in 4, and you've already got that pocket in there, which you can slip it in or out. And there you go, it's just a beautiful linen napkin. And this one's especially beautiful. I think it was a great aunt that actually crocheted. This is one napkin of many, which the rest were ruined, but this one is still intact, so every time I use it, I can remember my aunt. And that's really, really precious to be able to use them in that manner. And this is, I mean, you can just make all kinds of colors to match your table. Now, another one that I made, I bought this silicone, it's just a silicone hot plate. Easy. And all I did, I had this doily, and you're gonna have to be creative with your doilies and the size of your hot plates. All I did was I had this doily, so I thought, well, I'll attach it to another napkin. So I took another napkin and basically folded it in 3s. So I put my hot plate in the middle, I folded it in 3s, and then I was able to press it. Then I took my doily and I just sewed it to this inside square. And then I sewed either end, creating a pocket in the back so that you could slip the hot plate in and out anytime that you may want to launder it. And these are flexible, they're pliable. So this was quite an easy way to create. And look at that beautiful, the handwork is amazing. And this will look beautiful on your table, imagine, with your terrain. Now I also had a round hot plate. And this, again, this is another silicone round. And it's quite, I have made an oval pattern in order to cover a round hot plate. But in this instance, I found these napkins, which were the exact diameter of my hot plate. So all I did is I put the two raw sides together and I just sewed all the way around and created this pocket. So now every time I want to use my round hot plate, I can just toss it like this and lay it on the table. And this would be great to put your serving bowl or whatever it is that you have on it. Now, if you have a large hot plate that is oval and you want to recover it, I actually used this old tablecloth that was tattered on one side. So I was able to cut out the piece that I liked. And I was able to do that by, first of all, I just took a paper bag and put the hot plate on it, drew it out, and then I added 1/8 of an inch for the thickness of the board and 1/4 of an inch for a seam allowance. And then, so I drew the extra seam allowance all the way around. And then from this, I created a second pattern. So I cut out 2 of those ovals, but on the second oval, I folded it in half and I cut out half of the oval, and the other half that was left over, I folded that in half and cut out 2/4. So what I was able to do is I've got my pattern for the top and I've got my 3 pieces for the bottom, because in order to create this pattern so that it fits your oval cork hot plate, you need to create this effect so that you can put it in and remove this for washing. So once you've got your 2 patterns, they are going to look like this, put together, and you want the 2 good sides in. Now, one trick that I used in order to create, so first I cut up my top piece and put that off to the side. And then I took a square napkin that's probably 12 inches square, and I put it the good side face down, and then I was able to place my cut pieces. I placed them where the hem was already made so that I didn't have to do that. So I was able to place one piece like this. So it's along this little hemline, which has already been created for me. So why have to redo that? So you put it down along one hemline, and then the other 2 pieces, and you have to make sure that you get these pieces right. So if you're uncertain, make sure that they create this oval. So that means they're all laying the same way. And what I'm going to do I need an edge, finished edge here. I need a finished edge here. So I'm just going to place that at the corner of my napkin. I need a finished edge here, finished edge there. I'll place it at the other corner of my napkin. And now I have created, and I'll just, so you can see, so now I've created this. And now I'm going to cut my pieces out. And I will cut them out of this napkin. And then all I'm going to do once they're cut out is I'm going to, this is the top side. So you want good sides facing in together. And this is my 1/4 piece. So I'm going to put it with the good finished edge because there's a raw side like this and a finished edge. So finished edge down because it's the 2 good sides. And the same with this. So then you're going to pin and you're going to sew all the way around where that seam allowance was. So if I take this one off, so you can see I've sewn all the way around that seam allowance. And then I took some pinking shears and trimmed off the edge because you don't want too much bulk. And what I did do is I came back, and this is kind of important because it won't fit as nicely. You want to sew in, so I did a hand stitch in 1 inch here, in 1 inch here, and in 1 inch here, just to secure these 3 points and create a little tiny bit of a pocket. And then you just turn it inside out, and of course you can fit your hot plate back in. And this one's a little bit not fussier, but it's an oval, so it just takes a little maneuvering. And you can see that, there you go. You can see how there's a little extra stitching going on up here just to keep this a little tight, but not so tight you can't fit the hot plate in, and just in both sides. And that makes for, well, I've just recycled a beautiful vintage linen. Another way that you can use your hot plates, and this one is just a rectangular hot plate. And then I had these beautiful, I think they must have been like little doilies for the inside of baskets with bread or something. But I had a number of these, and all I did, here's one. So it was a little cloth like that, and I just folded it in half. Fold it in half. And then you can just iron it flat. And it actually, it fit, this particular napkin fit exactly. So all I did was just, sewed it up the sides and just created a little pocket like this. So now when I want to use this, I could just slip it in, and that makes for a really pretty, oh, and I've got a nice teapot. I've got a nice teapot Look at that. It'll look beautiful on the table on this hot plate. So that's that one. And then I had another hot plate, again like the flat silver one, just a rectangular hot plate. And I had this beautiful little doily that, again, I just folded it in 3, and I've got, use this as an example. So it's one of these little rectangular napkins, and I think these are kind of standard too. And again, you just put the hot plate in the middle, fold it over. Now this had a design on the ends, so I wanted to have this on the top. Fold it over, iron it, and the secret to making it look really good is by pressing it very well. And then all I did was I just gave it a stitch up either side to create this opening that overlaps. And you can just slip it in. It's not very difficult because it is pliable and flexible. There you go. And it's in there. So that makes for a beautiful little hot plate that maybe we would like to put just a beautiful bowl on it. So it certainly dresses up a table, and it gives you an opportunity to use all of those doilies and vintage hankies and handmade linen covers and napkins, and you can use it to your heart's content and enjoy it every day with a meal. And every time you do use it, it's probably going to remind you of the person that you got it from. So I think that that's a really good idea. It's a wonderful way to recycle your linens. Even if you use these linens, and this linen was large enough that it's a tea towel, and it's beautiful as a tea towel. There's absolutely no lint. This is great to use on glasses. So I hope that you take a look at all those vintage linens that you have stored and pull them out, give them a wash, and give them a new purpose. And I'm sure that you're going to enjoy them for a long time. And if you've got too many, why not make them and pass it on to your daughters or your nieces, or even give something that is close to your heart and treasured by you as a gift to a friend. So if you try this idea, I hope that you're able to utilize those treasured napkins and linens that you have, and that it brings you a lot of joy and makes your table look great. So happy sewing!